What's up everyone, it's Scotty with MoneyVest. So in this video, we are going to be talking about Nike stock. A lot of you have been asking for an update on this company. So we're going to take a look at this entire business and go over the entire fundamental analysis, technicals, and of course, the intrinsic value for this company as well. As always, if you enjoy it, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like. I would really appreciate that. I've got a lot of stock analysis coming out on the channel over the next couple weeks. So that's going to be my gift to you on Christmas and New Year's, is put out a lot of stock analysis videos so that you can plan for your 2024 and figure out what these intrinsic values are, where to buy them, where to sell them. All these things are going to be covered in my future videos. So hope you all enjoyed. Again, all I'm asking in return is that you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And also do check out the links down below for our Patreon and for our Discord. There is a 16% annual discount that's available until the end of this month. 40 plus videos and lectures and tutorials available. Full access to the entire spreadsheets, including my fair values, which are going to be uploaded regularly. And of course, Discord access with channels, including buy and sell alerts, options alerts, trade ideas, everything's going to be included. And finally, Christmas sale is here. Coupon code Santa Rally with 50 to 60% off on lifetime access to all these courses. Link's going to be down below. And do check out the Instagram. My handle is going to be CastWRP, and connect with me there. I do post a lot of portfolio updates and a lot of other polls and strategies and tips as well. So when it comes to Nike, Nike is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, apparel and athletic wear brand, even bigger than Adidas, even though, it always happens. It always happens. Every time I'm recording a video on Nike, I just happen to be wearing Adidas stuff. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I love Nike. I'm a huge Nike fanboy. Been wearing Nike for a very, very long time. Trust me, I'm a huge Nike fan. It just happens to be every time I'm recording a Nike video, I'm just wearing Adidas. It's not the case. I love Nike. This right here is the overall revenue sort of composition of where the revenue is coming from. Of course, North America is the biggest market for Nike. Over 44% of the revenues are coming from North America, 15% from Greater China, 28% from Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and of course 13% from Asia, Pacific, and Latin America as well. 56% is wholesale, 44% is Nike Direct. And now the company is also moving towards directly selling to consumers, right? There was a pretty significant piece of the overall wholesale business up until just a couple of years ago. And now the company is now focusing more on Nike Direct. So basically directly selling to consumers, which is where the margins are really, really high for the company. And you can see that 68% is coming from footwear, which is again, sneakers, boots, and of course, all different types of footwear for athletes, and 28% coming from apparel, with 4% coming from equipment as well. This is going to be the entire performance for Nike. As you'll notice that it has kind of trailed, or actually it's quite comparable to the S&P 500. I do apologize, I'm kind of under the weather and I've got a pretty severe cold. And for that reason, my eyes get super watery, especially when I'm kind of directly under the light. But anyway, so this is the overall revenue performance. So you can see that we have consistently grown. Nike has been able to grow revenues from $39 billion to over $51 billion. And earnings per share have gone from about $2.49 to $3.23. So very nice, consistent increase, although the earnings per share has been a little bit more volatile and fluctuating over the last couple of years. And when it comes to return on invested capital, over 31% for the company. And of course, the stock performance has been a little bit trailing behind the S&P 500. Is up close to 53-54% since 2019 as well. Now, this right here were the fiscal 2024 first quarter results for Nike as of September 28th, 2023. And what you'll notice is that the comparable sales were up about 2% on a year-over-year basis to a little bit under $13 billion for the company. Nike Direct revenues was $5.4 billion, up 6% year-over-year. And of course, Nike brand digital sales increased 2%. On a reported currency neutral basis. Wholesale revenues were $7 billion, flat compared to the same time last year, and gross margins decreased by a very, very small amount, 10 basis points to 44.2%, and diluted earnings per share were just a little bit under $1 per share, up 1% on a year-over-year basis. Now, going over to some of the balance sheet items, so you'll notice that the company's sitting on cash and cash equivalents of just a little bit over $8.8 billion. That's down approximately $3.1 billion from same time last year, as cash generated by operations was more than offset by share repurchases, cash dividends, and capital expenditures. So the company has been doing a lot of share buybacks. They've been issuing, of course, dividends. And they've been doing a lot of capital expenditures as well over the years. And of course, when it comes to shareholder returns, Nike has a strong track record of investing to fuel growth and consistently increasing returns, including 21 consecutive years of increasing dividend payouts. In the first quarter, Nike returned approximately $1.7 billion to shareholders as well. God, my allergies are going to kill me right now. And when it comes to dividends, $524 million, and that's up 9% on a year-over-year basis, and $1.1 billion in share rebuybacks for the company, reflecting about 10.5 million shares bought back in the first quarter fiscal year 24 as well. Now, when it comes to the TAM, that's the total addressable market for the company, it is expected to be around $350 billion by 2027. So that again is a very, very large market for the company when it comes to footwear, apparel, accessories, and various sports and other activities as well. So they are going to be diving into a pretty big TAM, lots of momentum to go for Nike. And this is again the overall growth that's come from 2014. They've gone from like 27.7 billion to more than doubled, almost doubled actually, to over $51 billion. And gross profit has gone from 12.4 billion to over $22 billion. And operating income has gone from 3.6 billion to well over $5.8 billion for the company as well. When it comes to profitability, so again, a very, very profitable business, 2.7 billion, now is up to over 5 billion. So almost doubled. And we've got shares outstanding, again, going down from 1.8 billion to 1.559 billion. So consistent share buybacks, consistently growing revenues and margins and profitability, including free cash flows. And this right here is the balance sheet. Again, just a little bit under $8.8 billion of cash, with total debt right now sitting at over $12 billion. So net debt is positive at 3.39 billion. Not something that I ideally look for, but it's also not terrible either, with short-term liquidity very strong, current and quick ratio well over 1 and 2, and debt to free cash flow is a little bit over 6. Ideally, I look for this number under the 3, but the company does have very strong short-term liquidity with cash slightly less than the overall debt for the company as well. Now, this right here is the valuation grid. And right now, I would argue that Nike is trading at somewhat of an elevated valuation, over 37, 32 times earnings multiple. Price to sales a little bit over 3.5. Price to cash flow at over 34 to 29. And enterprise value to EBITDA 27 to 25. So I would argue that the valuation multiples are a little bit more on the expensive side, considering the growth is not that strong moving forward. And this right here is going to be some of the margins and profitability metrics, where gross profit margins 43%, pretty strong. Net margins a little bit under 10%. That's pretty normal for an e-commerce apparel business. And return on common equity, capital, and assets is also pretty strong at over 13, 14, 15%, with common equity return sitting at 34% for the company as well. Now, this right here are the earnings expectations. So if you jump over to the spreadsheet, you'll notice that we do have a lot of checks for Nike, which is a good thing. And 372 to 627 is the forecast, and we're looking at a compounded annual growth rate of just under 14% for the business. That is going to be that CAGR for Nike. So if you try to kind of assume, let's say $3.72 per share, that's going to be the earnings per share. So 372 times 1,559, we're looking at a $5.8 billion worth of actual net income for the company. So if you come over to this model, and if you plug in $5.8 billion for Nike, and you assume, let's say, a 14% growth rate, a 22 times PE multiple, 12% discount rate, maybe a little bit less because the company does pay out a dividend. So Nike right now, let's just take a quick look, trading at $122, pays out a dividend of 1.21%. So maybe we can go up to as much as 10.5 in terms of that discount rate, and a 10% margin of safety and minus 1%, meaning share buybacks of 1%. We arrive at a fair value of just under $100 at close to $92 per share. And this right here is going to be that sensitivity grid for Nike. However, I am going a little bit higher on the growth rate because analysts are expecting just under 14%. So I like to go a little bit less from the analyst expectations. So if I go with, let's say, 12%, now we're sitting at sub $85 for the intrinsic value for Nike, which again, take a look at the sensitivity grid. You can see how it kind of fluctuates based on different growth rates and different earnings multiples for Nike. So for me, anything under $85 would potentially be a very good deal for this business. However, the balance sheet is a little bit concerning. That's the only thing that I would be looking forward to like kind of reading a little bit more. But this right here, I think I've mentioned this before for Nike. This is the overall analysis, and you'll notice that it was indeed trading as low as $87, $88 before, of course, rallying to as much as 122, so 38, 39% rally. But I've mentioned this before, that's inside this green rectangle, very, very strong support, technically speaking. And of course, my fair value sits roughly at around those levels at $80. And of course, right now, resistance up to $130 per share with a price target right now sitting as high as 155 for Nike at the moment. So hope you all enjoyed this video and a complete update on Nike. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. When it comes to the technicals, we are incredibly overbought right now with a 77 RSI. MACD also incredibly overbought at the moment. Resistance all the way up to $130, and support level is going to stay put right here inside this green rectangle. That support and my fair value is going to stay put at roughly low 80s. And of course, it has broken out of this downtrending channel really well, so that next resistance target is going to stay put at close to $130. So hope you all enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Again, links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. Happy investing, and I'll see you all in the next video.